Alright guys, Hatch Kremp again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. With all the pred drama being unleashed over the last day or so, we didn't even get time to talk about the bracket for the Minor 1 tournament coming up at the start of January. 2 weeks of qualifiers have happened, 2 more weeks of qualifiers are happening before Major 1 in Madrid, but before we get to that point, there is a Minor online tournament happening on about the second weekend of January. All of the top teams are getting involved in this one. Based on the qualifier matches we have seen so far, the seeding and the bracket is officially set. Who are the favourites for this tournament in a few weeks' time, with likely HyDra in the map pool instead. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty to get into today of course, because we had to talk about all the pred stuff earlier this morning, and for good reason. Interesting series last night between Rocker and Los Angeles Thieves. Every team in this league right now looks beatable. There is no team that looks untouchable. FaZe, I mean, not only do they look beatable, they are beatable. There are certain teams that have become undefeated, but they have not had it easy sailing. They did, Los Angeles Thieves, though, win the protocol control. They reverse swept it to win. This map I wouldn't say is as bad as people say that it is, to be honest. Every pro has just been grinding vault control, haven't they, right? Because that's all anyone seems to want to play. But yeah, there's definitely... Protocol isn't actually that bad. It is not great, though. Then on the game 4, Thieves went down big time, and then they brought a mega comeback to close out the series. So, look, Rocker were competitive, but Thieves got the job done. As Scrappy says, sloppy weekend from us, still got the dubs, finished 4-0 after the first couple of weeks, and you know, appreciate all the support. So that was your series. Thieves advanced to 4-0. They are the best team in the game, I would say, right now on the evidence that we have. But it's not been incredibly smooth sailing. They won both the hard points. They won the control. They were arguably, you know, they had to reverse sweep it to win the control. They got slammed on the Vault Search and Destroy. Scrap had a good series. HyDra didn't really, but they got over the line regardless. Good series from Geo and Nero especially. I think it's interesting with Nero, isn't it, right? Because Nero was going to go to Cloud9 instead of Mack, and then they got rid of Nero to get Mack in, and I was kind of concerned about whether that was the right call or not. And Nero's played pretty well so far, but Mack's actually arguably played better on Cloud9, but their AR duo is atrocious right now, as we talked about yesterday. So that was the final result of the first couple of weekends. Before we get into the bracket though, let's talk about the map set, because Rewind Hardpoint, Shane reckons, head coach for Thieves, is going to be gone. So, and he's not happy about that, and Thieves seemingly are not so happy about that as well. Now, Rewind, you look at it on paper, looks like a Warzone point of interest. It's not a great map, but for Hardpoint, does it play better than some others? I mean, you could argue it. As you know, Shane says, it's only one of the very few maps in the game that actually have 5 hills on. It doesn't have any underground nonsense like you see on many maps like Protocol and Skyline, among others. No 2-story buildings, most readable spawns and easiest to manipulate them. And to be fair, I think that's true. Now, these first 3 points, I guess, are fair enough. This, though, is kind of a big one to me, because it does feel like the way that Rewind is designed, you actually do get a better idea on Rewind of where the enemy team is spawning than you do on many other maps. But we know that HyDra is coming in. The teams are going to vote to replace something, and it seems like Rewind is maybe going to be the map gone for Hardpoint, which is kind of interesting that, you know, Rewind will go, Red Card it seems likely will stay. But of course, it doesn't seem like they've made up their mind yet fully. They will be practicing HyDra very shortly, indeed, the players, but you know, what they're going to take out is still a bit of a matter for debate, although Shane believes the way the pros have been talking, it's probably going to be Rewind. JP says this as well, kind of remarkable how after the first 2 weeks of control, 22 vaults have been played, 2 protocols have been played, and you know, Nameless is like, wow, Vault Control must be the best map ever played. But Dashy says no, Protocol is just terrible, and Nameless says HyDra Control unfortunately might well be worse. Dashy's like, look, let's just get rid of Control. I mean, before the season began, K-San tournaments, stuff like this, we're playing 3 hardpoints, 2 search and destroys. You know, I'm not opposed to that. I'm genuinely not opposed to that. I know that some teams would be, though. Some teams would be in favour. Or we just play Prop Hunt Map 3, as Dashy suggests, which may be the appropriate solution. Couple of stats. Challengers Cup number 3, they took the victory, as in Spart, Prolute, Capstone and Arcetes. That being the same team, pretty much, that won with Hook a while ago. Now, this is their roster, and they won number 3. Illy's team, I think, got forfeited. They couldn't make the run that they wanted to make. So, you know, controversial to say the very least, but these guys still keeping their names right to the top of the list in terms of players to get picked up next, I would say, from challengers. These are players that aren't going to get dropped anytime soon. Your top 5 KDs of the regular season so far Gwinn is at number 1. He's rocking a 1.33. Gwinn and Slasher as a duo have been mind-blowingly good so far. Like, this is the scariest, one of the scariest AR SMG combos in the game as it stands. The other one, I mean, there are many. HyDra, for example, although their KDs aren't actually on here. Shotzzy and Dashy, another one. These guys have been on fire. And then the 5th player on the list is actually Kix or Khalid, your, Vegas Falcons player, who has been cooking, but man, this guy needs some help. The crazy thing is, you look at the bottom of the scoreboard, the lowest KD in the league so far, I think, is King of Body with a 0.71. Then it's Sib with a 0.72. So, yeah, I don't know what's happening down there at the bottom of the league, but it is nonetheless interesting. This is Dashy's overall card. Of course, he's got a 1.17 overall, but his Search and Destroy has been super impressive. Purple, purple, purple in damage per 10 as well in hardpoint. Like, these hardpoint numbers are insanely strong. Yes, this is only a couple of weekends, but this is a 97 overall card already for Dashy. I mean, he's pretty much highest kills per 10 in the league. He's pretty much highest hill time per 10 in the league. He's pretty much highest, he is highest damage per 10 in the league. So in terms of hardpoint play, yeah, his KD's only a 1.09 only. But in terms of impact and hill time, like, Dashy's been doing everything in all of the modes. So, yeah, obscenely impressive from Dashy so far, but I can't say that I'm surprised. There's been lots of drama as well on FaZe. Yes, they beat Falcons yesterday, but of course, they weren't very impressive in beating Falcons yesterday. And as aBeZy says, GG's everyone we played, finished 1 in 3. Definitely not where we want to be at the moment, but we are going to get there, he says. Now, there's been some debate here from Ben JoeDeceives on what's happening behind the scenes. We know that Ben, he knows the guys at FaZe, he wants the best for the guys at FaZe, and he has been concerned about just the culture, I would say, behind the scenes in the camp, and the direction of the team in general. We know that FaZe before as an organisation, they've been taking pay cuts and stuff like this, and now there've been further cuts to the team as well. Not necessarily the players, but more so, other factors involved. We know that Classic, as their substitute, is gone. Tupac, their Search and Destroy guy, is gone. Nick Proto's gone. Gersh is, I mean, it's interesting with Gersh, really. And obviously Gersh's a social guy. And people are like, what are you talking about, Ben? How can Gersh be related to FaZe not performing against the Ravens? But the point, I guess, is that Gersh is now working, well, he has been already, but he works for FaZe rather than Atlanta Esports Ventures. So the relationship there between FaZe and the esports team, which isn't really FaZe, it's kind of FaZe, but it's AEV with the FaZe name attached to it, isn't maybe the best. So, Ben J thinks that there are more factors in play for why this FaZe team have not been looking so good. Yeah, sure, the team needs to put in the hard graft and improve, but he also thinks that in general, the leadership and direction of FaZe, and Atlanta FaZe especially in AEV, is lacking. And, he says they go to the office every day and there's nobody even there. Like, it doesn't feel like an environment where you're going to form a winning culture and team. He then even roasts the jersey. They're not running any events either. So, look, these are multiple factors around FaZe. I'm not sure that all of them are especially relevant to the performance of the FaZe team, but everything contributes in part, especially when it's a league so competitive as it presently is. If these things were better on another organisation, there is a good argument to say that FaZe as a team would be in a better headspace for winning events and championships and getting back to where they were a few months ago. And at the Esports World Cup in ReeaL a few months ago, FaZe were maybe the best supported team there. I mean, of course they were AEV, but they were kind of playing for FaZe Clan. I mean, FaZe Clan were at the Esports World Cup. There were lots of guys from FaZe Clan at the event. They had their own booth that we were doing the watch party from on the weekends. So, and they won the tournament. So, maybe correlation, causation, all this type of stuff, but I did think it was at least still somewhat relevant. But let's talk about not on the lower side of the league, as FaZe right now are actually in a spot where they're not even going to make the World Championship based on the way that it stands. Don't worry about that one. They're going to fix things up, and of course they're not going to be as low down as they are, but still we'll talk about that in a second. The team actually at the top, though, is the Ravens. Slasher has started the season 4-0 for the first time since, 2018. This is remarkable. I mean, look at this picture. This is Team Envy in World War II, a roster that was meant to be very good. It was similar, I think, to a Denial team. Maybe it was the same as a Denial team that happened back in Advanced Warfare before Hook had to step away for, because he wasn't old enough. The same with Donnie Temp. Then when they were old enough to play again in 2018, they formed this roster on Envy. Slasher, Hook, Temp and Classic. On paper it was very good. They started well. then it quite swiftly fell off a cliff. Whether that's going to happen to Ravens, you know, that's a question, but I think the Gwynn's looking great. He's going to be even better this year, I think, than he was last year. Vivid, his search and destroy has been bad, but his respawn's been pretty good. TJ remains to be a bit of a revelation, and Slasher has been playing some of the best COD in the league. So Ravens have started the season 4-0. 12-4 map count, they've been crushing it. 3 teams only at 4-0 after the first few matches. Los Angeles Thieves, Toronto Ultra, and these are your top seeds getting the bye. The next team getting the bye is actually Boston, because they get the head-to-head tiebreaker over OpTic, despite the fact that OpTic have a better map win-loss. Boston win the head-to-head tiebreaker, so they get the bye in the bracket and OpTic do not. Then, of course, Rocker, Heretics, Surge, and then we go down from there. 2 teams at 0-4. One of them has, you know, been better than the other one, but obviously it's still not been good enough for Gentlemates to get wins on the board. And if you'd have come into the season telling me that FaZe and Cloud9 both would have been in the champs qualification not making its spots, then, well, I might have said, you know what, Cloud9 could have been possible, but FaZe, yeah, that was a surprise. This then is the way the bracket looks. So just to explain this real quick for you guys, the 10th to about the 12th of January is when this is being run, and you get CDL points for winning this that count towards World Championship qualification, and there's some good prize money on the line as well. This is a great intermediary really between, you know, a major tournament and the regular online qualifiers. I think they've done a killer job with this. Hopefully it runs smoothly when we are back underway. But yeah, the 4 teams have been advanced already. So Ravens, Boston, Thieves, and Ultra, they have the bye to the quarterfinal. This is a single elimination straight up tournament. You lose, you're out. And it's not great, but it's still pretty, it's better than nothing, right? So Surge play Cloud9, the winner of that plays Ravens. So we could very much have a Ravens Cloud9 rematch that we saw a banger series yesterday. We are likely going to get OpTic versus Boston rematch in the second round, because of course I'm not expecting Falcons to really put up a fight against OpTic. I guess we'll see. Heretics FaZe is interesting, because FaZe, their respawn, I mean, their control was suspect. Their search and destroy is still a bit suspicious as well. Their hardpoint's been pretty good, but that's where Heretics have their strength as well. So if they played this series today, I think FaZe Heretics would be very interesting, but FaZe probably win in 5. I mean, because Heretics search and destroy is woeful. Come January, I think FaZe are going to be better at the respawns than Heretics are, but surely Miami will have improved their search by then. So that series could be interesting, and the crucial thing is that if FaZe do win, they play Thieves. So, you know, that could be a scrap Drazah match again. And then Ultra, they await the winner of Rocker and Gentlemates. So, yeah, excited to see how this one goes down. But yeah, FaZe Thieves, OpTic Boston, Ultra versus, you know, maybe Gentlemates. Like, there are going to be some banger games in this tournament. Early days, who do you expect is going to win? Because, I mean, FaZe and Thieves can't make the finals. It's single elim. So only one of FaZe or Thieves can make it even to the semis. So one of those guys is going to be out top 8. That's how it's going to be. And, you know, that's going to be a big loss. And on the current evidence, you'd probably say that it's going to be FaZe. So, yeah, FaZe come in after the minor, and they, you know, come out top 8, top 12 after this tournament, after only beating Falcons so far. It's not going to fill them with confidence going forwards. So, yeah, it's single elim, but it's tournament play. And that's what it's all about, I would say, at the end of the day. So very much interested your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.
Or building a better atmosphere around this team. I don't quite understand why they don't tap the resources that made FaZe Clan more. Like, I haven't even talked about, you know, the content of this org, which I think has been dog shit for pretty much 6 years. I know there's been some people that made some good stuff there, but for the most part, I think their content has sucked. I think the social was great last year, but outside of last year, almost every other year was fucking mid. I think their jerseys are awful this year, at least the one that I've seen. I don't know if they're doing multiple, but this black jersey I think sucks. The skins I don't think are very good. Like, they have a lot of misses within the org. And from my personal external opinion, I don't think they are making the right decisions. And I think that when my last thought is this, when you talk about players, they have a weird external environment around them. I wouldn't be surprised if just outside of the bubble that they have with the players, right? I don't know this for a fact. Obviously, only they can speak to it. But you look at it and you look at all of the evidence I presented to you here, like, is the environment good? Are we happy here? You know? So there are ways to fix this. It's going to be cleaned up. Not, I wouldn't say simply, but there are ways to clean this up. I hope that by peeling back some of the layers here and just linking public dots, I haven't really given you guys anything that was not already out there. you guys as the ATL community can do a better job of supporting the team and maybe pushing this team in the right direction it needs to go to. You know what I'm saying?